Okay, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 3 more. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Oh, that's restarting. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He shall direct. He shall direct your path. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Thank you for tapping the line. You're waiting for the bishops to come in. It's gonna be you and I forever. When the wind blows, the sunshine. Marcia, how you doing? Yeah, here, mama. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Go ahead and do the heart, me family. Lean not on your own understanding. Go ahead and click the link, my love. And tell Jimmy to click the link as well. I send it for Sue if she wants to join us. What time is it where you're watching? Put the time in the chat. Oh, can I see you? Are you losing your balance? Come on, let's trust in the Lord with all our hearts. Are you losing your balance? Lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. The bishops are coming in the house. Wait for them. It's 20:04, 8:04. Okay. 4 minutes after 2. Wow. Isn't it just beautiful, the different dynamics at different times? What time is it here? 4 minutes after 3. 5 minutes after 3. Lucy, what time is it in Kenya? Debbie, what time is it in England? Somebody say, Lord, more of you and less of me. More of you, more of you, more of you. Give it all to you. I 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 give it all to you. Give it all to you. I give it all to you. I give it all to you, Lord. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Thank you for tapping the live, Evangelist. 8:05. We have started a bit late. This morning we went to a service. We were invited. And we came back a little later. We went for lunch afterwards, which is important. Fellowship is important. But I miss you guys. We came in yesterday exhausted, aching, but here we are. Faithful to the task. Faithful to the task. I miss you guys. Your names are still on the altar. I respect you. You're not better than me. I'm not better than you. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. I think Bishop is in the house. That will be good to know. Dolores, how are you doing? Bishop is here. Hi, Dolores. Lord, more of you and less of me. I miss you. How are you doing? Wow. Del Rose. I said Dolores. Del Rose. It's good to see you here. We were traveling for the past 3 weeks. We've been traveling for the past 3 months. We've been traveling from Florida to Tennessee to Louisiana, Alabama, up to Mississippi, up to Illinois, Indiana, then Chicago, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Rochester, South Dakota, North Dakota, bordering the Badlands, over there in Torrington, Wyoming. I'm trying to remember them all, Bishop. Torrington, Wyoming, down to Colorado, Boulder, Colorado Springs, then back through to Colorado Springs, then back through to Colorado Springs and where, Bishop?
And then to Kansas City.
And then to Kansas City and back to Indiana. Wow. Prophet Jimmy, thank you so much for
oh, there he is. Wonderful. We are back.
Wow. Thank you,
well,
Prophet Jimmy.
He's looking you've got some kind of purple. It looks very religious or sacramental, let's say. Looks
and
nice.
He's doing the priest.
Prophetess Lydia wears things like that sometimes, and actually wears them, puts them on, prayer shawls and things. Yeah.
Wow.
As Catherine Kuhlman used to think, she would dress up for the Lord. You know, she would put on the ball gown.
Stay with us. The prophets are in the house. Welcome, Prophet Jimmy.
Thank you. Good to see all of you.
Wow.
Yeah, we are back home. We had a wild journey. We were exhausted. We had one night of very, very good long sleep, and last night we had to get up early to we went to church with a good friend of ours who was our real estate agent. He invited us to his church over in Monticello, and we had a good time. It was good. We were dressed up. Nobody else was. Everybody else was in casual clothes.
But it was a good dress up. It was not like, so I dressed up. Not over the top. It's just that they wore T-shirts and jeans. And Bishop was in his tie, which he hated. When he got home, he was like, ah. And the guy said, you can wear your jersey next time.
I don't mind a sport coat and pants and
he told me not to wear a jersey. And I'm like,
I don't like a suit.
I don't wear a jersey like in my house.
I don't know. Suits are very uncomfortable for some reason.
Yeah, you.
Anyway, how are you, Jimmy? What's going on in Jimmy land?
Oh, I'm well. Just struggling over here.
How is your friend doing? Is he still around with us?
He's still around. I've been trying to get there. He was brought home. I've been dialoguing with his wife. And, it's been a week that I've been trying to see him. So he's recovering. They took him out of the hospice and took him off all medication, and he's perked back up.
Wow. Wonderful.
So, yeah, I'm just letting it develop. Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
That's what's going on.
That's kind of amazing. They don't normally come off of hospice.
Well, yeah. So I look forward to the conversation. I have no idea how it'll go. I'll see how it plays out, but he's a very interesting fellow. And I think it's significant that he and I met and we kind of connected, but I only saw him on one occasion at Caitlin's wedding. So there's probably many things connected to it for the future of all mankind and the cosmos. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Sure.
Um,
The butterfly effect.
yeah. But other than that, I'd be speculating. I really don't know, but I like that sort of thing. I like not knowing.
Hmm.
And, yeah.
Well,
Just
we had
kinda, well, I'm waiting to be, you guys have a way of, getting me, to the boiling point, or whatever you want to call it.
to
Prophet Jimmy, sorry, Bishop. I like what Prophet Jimmy said about, sorry, Bishop, let me just jump in quickly, about I like waiting. I like not knowing. I think that's what he said. I like not knowing.
Yeah.
That's what we struggle with. We just want to know. Oh God, we want to know. Paul said that I may know you. He
Yeah.
didn't say that I may not know you.
Well, Paul said that I may know you. And he was talking about the person of God himself.
Yes.
That's a different story, because God knows the thoughts and intents of all men at the same time. So if Paul knows God, he knows all that there is to know of all men. But the thing is, we don't have the order of knowledge properly sequenced, whereas God does. So he knows the measure to reveal knowledge and wisdom to each one. So that's what I've learned to do, is rely on him, because I could increase in knowledge, but I could be out of timing. I could be in the wrong location, and I could be telling the middle of the story when I should be telling the first part. So I just thought I'd give you a little humor. I came upon a picture that I found. I went to a costume party one time, and this friend of my daughter Caitlin's made me up. I don't know where. Oh, here it is. So that was. They darkened my skin, and I put on a do-rag. So I went as a black man.
Wow.
That was in 2009, though. My goodness. So,
you know why I'm laughing? Because these days that would be offensive, These days.
Well, so this is grandfathered in.
I know. People are like, don't you do that? That's not even fair for you to do that.
I had a lot of interaction with people that were there, even black people.
Okay.
But I can't tell any of those stories.
Okay, you had some other ones. Right.
But I just wanted to throw that one out there, because I think it's, I didn't know that picture was there. I discovered that I have a Facebook account. Okay. And I forgot that I had one. So I don't know how to get on it, but that's for another day. But now I'm on the most, I'm on this account. This is the one that matters. We haven't had a session since I was in New York. Is that true? Or did we have, oh no, we had one a week ago, huh?
Yeah, we had one.
A week ago, which was like 15 minutes because we were on the road.
Yeah. That was a good one, though. There were several of those listeners that came on. Matt was one of them.
Yes.
And I always get energized by the folks. Somebody I was talking to today, a fellow who's a pilot, he was on his way to the airport. and he wanted to know what I was doing today. I said, well, I'm going to go on this live stream, and he wanted to know a little about it. So I told him, well, we're unscripted, and I gave him the link to look at a few older ones.
Okay.
Because different American religions, they have their little, I call it, they have their measured way of viewing God and what men are supposed to do, men and women and children. But when we experience God personally, we become expanded a little bit. So from time to time, we get the opportunity to speak, especially if someone asks, so what is that about? So I told them a little about it. So we'll see what kind of feedback I get. Yeah.
So we were in church today in Monticello, about 12 miles from here. Nice building and good Indiana people there. And people ask what well, what are you doing? And you bought the church, you bought the building, and what are you going to do with that? And where are you living? And we try to explain a little bit about going online, but when we say going on, I don't think many of them go online, honestly. So when we say go online, I don't know that it means much to them. So, but they will find out eventually what that means.
Yeah.
The pastor talked at the very end, he talked about home groups. And it was an interesting, he did it out of Ephesians. He didn't use the scriptures I would have used to talk about home groups, but what he said was very good. There was nothing wrong with it, but because home groups are about relationship, and it's about individual relationship, one-to-one. It's not about group relationship. It's about one-to-one relationship in a group. And then pretty soon the whole group is connected. If two are connected, then maybe another two are connected. And then one of the two are connected to one of the two of another, and it works like that. But it wasn't any enthusiastic response to it. I think he's been puffing this before and without much response. It seemed like something he may do every once in a while. I'm not sure. People are so set in their ways, they're just used to what they're used to, and as they get older, they don't want to change much, I don't think. So we'll see what happens with that. But we did enjoy it, and he introduced us to the crowd. And then we went to dinner with about 10 people, with lunch, and I don't know, had some good conversation. It was very interesting. But that was my first foray into Indiana church and body politic, or whatever you want to call it. And I've been wondering about how, where are they, and what is it they're ready to receive? How do we approach this? And I was pleasantly surprised that they have a very high regard for Scripture, and they seem to want to know, to learn. But they weren't getting into the spiritual aspect. They were sort of staying at the Word of God, and not the Word of God going to Jesus. I mean, they didn't. I know that they believe that. It's just that they weren't talking in that way. So it was, it was interesting. We'll be going to visiting some other churches as well. to find out where people are, and to see. One guy asked me, "Well, who's going to be who's the pastor?" I said, "Well, Lydia's going to be the main pastor. I'm I'm not. I'm not really a pastor. I pastored, but I don't. It's not my calling. And so she'll do the main stuff, and I'll preach occasionally, and I'll teach. But it came out of my mouth. I mean, it actually came out of my mouth, and now it's out there. Lydia is the main pastor, so it's a big load off of me. Like, all right.
You're the bishop. You're the bishop, the overseer.
Well,
I'm the bishop. Yeah.
you'll have to see if there's any protesters outside now.
Well, but she's a good pastor. She really follows up and answers people. We got back. I don't know how many messages did you have to answer when we got back, Lydia? Because I guess you hadn't been able to answer anything for 2 or 3 days, 4 days.
Right. It just goes on and on. It's never ending. And unfortunately, some people don't really understand. So it's like going in and explaining a little. And yeah. I mean,
I find messages like 2 months later, and I think, oh, there's a message. Then I answer it. Like, I think Alan sent me that message about the book that I sent him, and I didn't see it for 3 months, I think. I thought, oh, he liked my book. Okay. So anyway, that's how I am with messages, as everybody must know. So what's been happening in the heavenlies, Jimmy? And
I feel kind of quiet. It's not as though it is quiet. I think I've been doing a little more observing, and the things I see about people, it makes me kind of be a little quiet, because what appears to be needed, or what it appears people are waiting for or have an appetite for, is far more than I feel I have ready. So I'm not overwhelmed by that. I feel relieved of any urgency, because it's as though God is giving me a view of more than I have supply for. But it's not a burden to me. It's rather new. But what it has done is here's that word again, it was another field test for me to realize the fulfillment of cast your cares upon him, because he cares for you. So he cares for the many. For example, I was out planting some fall flowers. It's not fall yet, but they're starting to sell them. And they had a sale, so I bought some chrysanthemums. And a neighbor drove by and stopped and was talking. And then my road right in front of my house, just a little further up, it's a dead end by virtue of a spiteful privacy gate, because one community doesn't think the other community should pass through their road, so they put up a gate.
Oh God!
It's the way, it's part of the culture around here. It's like, bless your heart, but we put up a gate because we don't want you on our block. So I watch people all day get up to the gate, scratch their head, turn around, go back, come back. so I don't get involved. But my neighbor, who's kind of like a person like this, it was a mail truck, and the mail truck goes flying down to the gate and stops. So my neighbor Eric says, "Is he going to be able to get through?" I said, "It's a Sunday mailman. He don't know. Sunday they fill in." Here's what somebody should tell him. I said, so he starts yelling instruction, "You got to turn around," causing this big chaos. He goes over there and is talking. So after he spends 5 minutes of intervening and straightening this problem out, telling the guy more direct, he probably got the guy more lost than he already was, because you can't possibly process. So you turn around, you go that way, and then you make a left, and then you go see that right, and go this way and that way. I mean, they have these things called GPS on here now, you know? So right. So Eric felt like another crisis on the earth solved. So I said to him, you know, I live right here. I watch people get stuck there all day long. And when they drive by me and start saying, I say, I don't know. Then they go on. So he's a very kind of, he has his theology all lined up. So I always say things to him to not disturb him, but he's very easy to disturb, especially if I'm with him. So
I think we call that bear baiting, don't we?
he gave me a look, an indignant look, like, because I told him I don't get involved with people who are lost. But if they ask me a direct question, I go right to it. So it's just because somebody's asking you a question does not mean you should speak. That's the way I live. Many times people ask me things and I just look at them. I want to see what else is going to happen. Because if you start speaking right away, you'll never know what else is going to happen. Because what you said will lead to another thing and lead to another thing and lead to another thing. But if you let it play out a little bit, they might ask, finally they'll get to the real question like 5 more down the road.
You need to carry one of those little magic boards around and do like Jesus did. Just start kind of writing in the sand, you know. It's like
or a magic marker and just start writing on their shirt. I mean, I have a unique ability to see something coming down the road, and I cross the road and make a left turn long before it appears to be a reaction. That's part of hiding. When you hide, it's not about running away and hiding where they can't find you. It's about not being noticed in the first place.
Yeah, I wrote a short story about my time in the military called The Art of Invisibility. Because in the military, you do not want to be seen. You want to be invisible. So I learned how to be invisible. And when everybody else was cleaning the barracks and getting ready to marching and ironing their khakis and getting ready for inspection, I was walking over to the NCO club and watching David Garraway and having donuts and coffee. And then when it was about time for class to start and the inspections are over and the marching is over and all of that stuff, I would show up. And I never ironed my clothes. I didn't ever polish my brass buckle. I didn't polish my shoes. Everybody thought I had a right to do that. I was invisible. And yet when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a sergeant.
You were a merchant?
A sergeant.
Oh, so
I was promoted just like everybody else was, in spite of my invisibility, because I did have my name on the board. I mean, my name was there. They just say, "Oh, that's Dowell." Okay. They never asked anything. They never asked why I was not showing up, why I wasn't polishing or doing anything. They assumed part of invisibility.
yeah, this grace is undeserved favor. So when I was in high school, there was a big problem with people dropping out. They were having advertisements on TV about people dropping out. They would hold up a $50 bill and say, "This is what you are losing a week by not having a high school diploma." I mean,
That's very persuasive.
that's when, if you could make 100 or 150 a week, you were big time.
Right.
Well, I think my graduating year was 1971 to graduate high school, but I moved from New York City to a place on Long Island. So I ended up going to 4 different high schools.
I did too.
And,
I went to 4 different high schools.
Did you?
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a routine. But I did figure out a routine. If you show up on the first day of school in high school, you go to homeroom class, and then they give you your schedule for the semester. Mm-hmm. And then you look at it and you find out what room your first class is, and you go there, and then they take attendance. And so I figured out, if I never go, within a day or two, they'll take my name off the roll and think of it as a clerical error. So that worked very well. So I never got a cut slip home because I was never registered in the class. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get a absence notice sent home because I went to homeroom every day. Because that's where you could buy the drugs, was at homeroom. So you had to show up at school. So then every day I would have the whole day, and I would go to a different kind of school. We would do various things. The only problem with that is, by the time I got to my senior year of high school, there was no credit, and I don't know how many credit you need to graduate. So I was about 5 or 6 weeks out from high school graduation, and in my homeroom class was a notice from the grade advisor. So I went to see the grade advisor. It was an older lady named Mrs. Truell. And she said to me, "James, your transcripts have arrived, and they're very poor copies." Because they were photostat copies, so it was old black and white.
Oh, wow.
She said, "Some of them are illegible. It seems only the zeros came out. I cannot tell, is this a 7 or an 8? I took a look. I said, I can't tell myself. I left that half-hour meeting and got full credit and got a high school diploma like everybody else.
My senior year, I was dating a girl that was in the office in the morning. She was a junior. I was a senior, but she was and she would take all the attendance slips. And then when my name showed up as not being there, she would get rid of it. And so I spent most of my senior year, actually, I would walk down into Alexandria, and the poor section there. It used to be the poor section, not anymore. And I would, and actually that's where a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of black people live down there actually. And they would be cooking bacon and eggs and whatever. And I smell that coming out because they didn't have air conditioning. And then I would go over to the library and I'd spend most of my day in the library. And then I would go home at the time when the school bus got home, and no one was the wiser. So we had very similar sort of, except yours sounds more consistent. You did it a long time. I just did it my senior year.
Well, I was trapped because I couldn't go to class. So
You could, how come you?
I didn't have a class to go to because I wasn't registered in any. What am I going to do? Just show up and say I'm sitting in on this class today? So as a young teenager, I had to deal with the guilt and the shame of that and keep it to myself. And I had to pretend to my family that I was the honorable student. But I did get an education. It was just a different curriculum. So only recently, I was sitting in a session with God. Just it wasn't like I pulled out a memory book and was reviewing it myself. I was bouncing to certain memories that were coming to my mind, and I saw there was a continuity of it. So I surmised, I think God's taking me on a little bit of a trail here, and I'll just keep thinking about it. And what I came to accept was it was deeply personal because God made me feel that He directed that, and that He prevented me from participating in what He didn't want me to participate in. That was what it was about. He prevented me. What I did on the outside may not have been His desire, because I got into a lot of trouble. I never was arrested or anything, but it was what he didn't want me in. So it started me to think that most people would think that godliness is about me making the choice from hour to hour in life that aligns with God's will for me. And if I'm doing things that are not in His will, that's ungodliness. Well, God is God. Godliness is something else. God is not godliness. God is God. Godliness would be some kind of side effect of God in me. You can't say, well, God is the ultimate of godliness. I mean, he has full supremacy at all times. So what I started to understand was God takes action to prevent things from occurring in my life that He doesn't want occurring in my life. When Jesus said, pray this way, deliver us from evil, it's a request that God prevent me from being caught in the trap and in the snare, being taken captive, being misled. So God prevents me from perishing but it's up to me to walk in godliness. He sustains me, but I could go beyond just being sustained. I could have adventures and do exploits with God. I could co-labor with him. I could understand what his intent is by focusing, paying attention. So here's the point I want to make. I felt like God wanted me to have a clearer understanding of my past so I could have a stronger future with understanding his ways. Because he has to help me get through my misunderstanding of his ways that I've collected in life up until now. So there's a deconstruction going on while there's a building up going on at the same time. So I've been experiencing that for probably at least the month of August anyway. So it's kind of quieted me down rather than being at the barrel. I was at the top of the barrel. I was brimming with my latest adventures. Now it's kind of low in the barrel. It's like another barrel got rolled in. Now I'm a little more like not afraid, not humbled and sheepish. I'm kind of like more amazed. I'm like, wow, this is getting bigger. So I'll leave it there and see what you come up with on that one.
Well, it sparks me to think back to those days in my senior year, because it was a new high school for me. I didn't really know many people, although in 1 year I got to know quite a few of them. There were about 360 students in that class. I went to one class reunion and I knew most of the people, but I think I was following in not going to school. I was following my heart. I had a great thirst for knowledge, and I wanted to know things. I wanted to read. I wanted to explore. I wanted to explore life, and I wanted to explore knowledge. And that's what I was doing. I wasn't skipping school. I was just, like you said, I changed curriculums. I just had I wanted to go down and smell the cooking smells of this lower class area. We lived up on the mansion area. We weren't wealthy, but my father was able to buy a nice house up there in that wealthy area. And so I would walk all the way down into, it wasn't a ghetto, but just very poor areas. And then the library happened to be down there as well. So I would go to the library. So I was just thinking about my heart during that time. And I remember the exhilaration of it, the freedom and the exhilaration of being able to go to the library. Many, many, many years later, in fact, when I was in my, 50s, I was working very, very hard. And I never had much time for myself. But I remember I had a job down in Washington, D.C., and it left a whole afternoon free. And I went to the Library of Congress, and I had the same feeling that I had when I was 16, 17. That same feeling of freedom and exhilaration. And so I sat there all day and evening, all afternoon and evening. I can't remember what time I got there, but I got my own Library of Congress card, and I could sit in the stacks and look over all the books I wanted to get and then order them, and they would bring them to me. And I could order up to 12, I think it was 12 books at one time. And that's what I did. And then when I was in the military, when I was 19, 20 years old, I would do the same thing. I would go over to the library and check out 12 books, and I would come back to the dorm, and I would read the barracks, and I would read them until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I didn't know it, but I had kind of a reputation. Along with being invisible, I was special. They thought, I didn't know this until one day the guys were, I think I've mentioned this before because it was a shock to me. These guys were having an argument at the end of the barracks, and the way that they solved the question that they were arguing about was to send a guy down to me and ask Dowell. And whatever I said went. It didn't matter whether I knew anything about it or not. I just say, this is, this is that. And they would go back and the guy would say, see, I told you so. And that was the end of the argument because I was reading books. Who does that? who reads 12 books? So I was always feeding myself in spite of the current situation, in spite of, and I continued to do that my 4 years in the military. I thought the 4 years were going to be utterly wasted. I went in so I could be in officer's school, candidate school, which I'm glad I did not do, but it kept me out because of my eyes. My eyes were not good enough to be an officer, which they knew before I went in, but they lied about that. So, but I got my education. So when I got out of the military, I had at least the bachelor's equivalent, maybe even more than a bachelor's equivalent of an education. Because when I got out, I went to community college, and the professor invited me to teach at the school she was teaching. She was directing. Because I'd already studied philosophy. I already studied English lit and so on and so forth. So, but just following hunger. And I think I did the same thing as a Christian. I followed my hunger for knowledge, my hunger for God, my hunger for healing, my hunger to know Him, my hunger for Him. I mean, ultimately, it always comes down to just a hunger for Him. And that was a pure thing. That was a lovely, pure, wonderful feeling, just to be hungry and feed, to search and study and learn. I don't know if you ever did this, but I would go through the Old Testament on typology. I didn't even know what typology was probably back then, but I knew everything had a symbol. And I'd look up all the plants in the Old Testament, and then I'd look at the agriculture and the topography and the geology. I just wanted to know everything. I wanted to absorb it. And I remember the day I discovered that the promised land was actually Jesus. And I thought, oh my gosh, you mean when Abraham's walking through Hebron, that means something? I mean, Hebron really means something. And Caleb was after Hebron. That's what he wanted, was Hebron. That's where they were buried, and that's where God appeared to him. I mean, I began to have a whole different look at the promised land. Because that's just a type and a shadow of the real promised land, which is Jesus Himself, our inheritance. So, yeah, by following hunger, just following your thirst, because that's in you. I mean, that is the way God made us. And He made us to thirst after Him. He made us to be hungry for Him. He made us to be like Him. And following that hunger, you really can't. I mean, the problem with the world is you're trying to satisfy that hunger with the things of the world, and it never satisfies. It becomes perverted in some kind of way, no matter what it is, because it could only be satisfied through Him. And then everything else comes in balance. If we are filled with Him, I mean, through the Spirit, we put to death the deeds of the flesh. It's not that The Spirit is not what cleanses us from sin, it's what applies the forgiveness, the blood of Jesus. It's the power that subdues flesh. And but that's also the same kind of thing, isn't it, Jimmy? Where you're really pursuing God, and in your love and pursuit of God, He is putting to death the deeds of the flesh.
Yeah. So I would maybe use in my thinking vocabulary, when you said you used the word coming into a balance. So I come into a disturbance. And here's why I say it that way. So I also see appetite in people. I see problems waiting for solution. Sometimes I have solution, and if I see a problem, I'll see if application is permitted, welcomed, prohibited. It won't go well. They got this, even though it's the wrong way. So I can see things that are needed, but I don't see the pathway to delivering the supply for that need. So pathway opportunity is as important to me as the substance of a solution. So it's kind of like I could deal with that view that I have of things by not looking around as much. So I like to go into a place and I can observe people just by moving my eyes. I'm not sitting there going, I hear a noise and I turn around and see what it is. You know, there are people that are just constantly moving and looking around. I kind of like go by a lot of things. I go by thoughts, feeling, and many other things. So I was thinking about the way God builds, and I was looking at words in the scripture that translate from Greek to the word build, and there are some that are a little bit different. In the New Testament, I think there's four different words translated into English, 4 different Greek words translated into English to be represented to the word build. So I see that whatever I build is a temporary existence of some kind of structure. It's a temporary solution, but the Father builds, Jesus builds. It's a permanent. Well, you can't really define the things Jesus is building as if you went to a downtown area and saw a construction project. You could tell yourself they're the same, but they're not. One is brick and mortar, and what Jesus is building doesn't seem to be brick and mortar. So, but they're both as real. So as I look at those two things, what Jesus is building in the realm of God among men, that is not readily visible to me to take notice to, and structures that are being built, they're not going to last forever. So that puts me in a bit of a imbalance, in a bit of a conflict. So it causes me to go to God in somewhat of a wonder. To me, the definition of wonder is the question not asked. Because if I'm asking a question, it's like, here's my problem, give me the solution. So the answer to my question is solution. Then I ask another question and another question. And that doesn't necessarily define building knowledge or acquiring wisdom. It's just a Q&A, questions and answers. People ask questions all day long and answers are given all day long, and it seems to be the expected thing, like breathe in, breathe out, inhale, exhale. But wonder is, it's an amazement toward God with like, what is this? There's a sense of awe. It's like an opening of the arms of your heart and saying, God, what do you got? What is this? So I find what I acquire through wonder is not easily defined in words. So I think it's been accumulating and it's sort of quieting me down. So I'm definitely a little, I'm not as, I was trying to prompt myself with some of the things I wrote down recently to become more wordy, but I could always revert to entertainment and humor. I could start talking like I'm from India. I could talk like I'm from Israel. Maybe from South Americans. But here I am over here. But one of the things about building, I had this interesting experience. So in a dream, I was going down various dream pathways of whether it's dealing with real life situations, but you come to an impasse where, okay, the road ends. What do I do now? It just doesn't end at a rainbow and a pot of gold. It's kind of like it ends at some incomplete station, and usually you wake up and it's like, there's another project I didn't get finished. So in my dreams, I went down 3 or 4 of these paths. And I remember in my dream contemplating and thinking, well, what about God? And I thought, no, he's, and I had this understanding. I saw the continuity of the Father, of the triune God, the persons of the Father, the person of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, where they are in continuous, perfect continuity. And that's the upholding of all things by the power of his might. He sustains all things. And I was like, bingo, there it is. There's the answer to all my conflict. It's the balance and the continuity of God himself in himself. And he's bringing me into himself. And that's where my everything is. That's where my identity is. That's where my future is, my solution, my stability. He shall be the stability of my times. So I'm considering, so I could remain aware of this all the time now. I don't have to, this is not a temporary viewpoint. This is like a readout, like on my lenses. I could see all things like this now. So that's relatively new this week. I have some things that I feel like God gave me insight on, and I'm like, I'll see it like this all the time now. Wow. So that's a little awesome to me. It's kind of like, see, I don't feel like I own that. Like, oh, I'm fat within myself. I'm growing. I'm like, am I sure? Like, what if I mess this up? What if I misappropriate this? almost would rather be, let's delay that. Let's take it easy, God. Take it easy here. You know who you're dealing with here. You want to take your foot off tap the brake a little, God, there. So that's what I'm thinking, because I've had a chance to test it out on a few real specific instances of interactions with people. Things that I thought about in my mind that is a progressive path I should proceed on with certain people. Maybe we should have a dinner together. Maybe we should get into a little deeper water outside the camp, so to speak, outside of a church meeting and I thought I saw in my mind's imagination a scenario playing out. And I thought, that is a good idea, but I don't know the pathway of bringing that. So I get a phone call a few days ago. This lady, Bonnie, you met her. She had a little problem. I built them a deck so they could hang out in this wonderful field. And she was sweeping the deck with her grandson. And the kid discovered that there was like an animal under the deck, like looking through. And she thought, it's a trapped animal and it's going to die, and call Jimmy. So I thought, Bonnie's calling me. I said, are you there now? I'll come over there now. Because I don't usually see her. I could go to the church and see her, but there's a whole pecking order and I'm not in it. But outside, it's different. So, and then now along comes, after a 15-minute conversation, along comes her daughter, Sarah. And these are the two people that I have this idea of going a little further with. And I didn't orchestrate any of it. There it is before me. So I thought, I don't have to say anything, but here it is. So I did. And just laid it out. Told them the whole story. Here's what I was thinking. Something you said to me prompted me to think, why did you ask that? Because what the daughter said, what Sarah Shabda said to me, she said, so Jimmy, let me ask you something. You think it's all right that you contemplate and think and see these things that God shows you, and you just keep it to yourself? Well, we're out here struggling. So I went like this. I thought about it. I said, yeah. I told her, yeah, I think that's all right. And she was like, she didn't have an expression. So I went home and I thought about it for a few days. And I thought, that's an odd. She has to have a certain perspective to have framed that kind of a question. What could be possibly the motive? Could be a technique to get you to spill the beans, but there's no real interest in the depth of what you have to say. And I'm not a talky kind of guy, like, let me tell you what I think I know. So I said to God, are you showing me an appetite here? Are you presenting this woman as a door to her generation? Because she's, like my daughter's age or younger. I'm not sure how old she is, maybe in her 30s. So I told all this to Bonnie and her daughter, Sarah. So I said, perhaps this is so. I said to Bonnie, do you think we can't possibly be in our children's minds to know how they see the world and what it is that they want to know? And they can't possibly be in our minds to see the things we see because of the past 50 years of walking with God and all of the trending things that experienced, it's not possible for the two to move in and out of one another. God has to present something. Maybe we should consider, is God trying to suggest something to us here? So that's the way I presented it. And I said, I'll leave it to you to decide. We'll go to dinner. So I would have never done that. I would have kept that to myself, as I do almost everything. I get an idea, but I keep it to myself because I don't walk around implementing ideas. I have a lot of ideas. Because to me, having an idea is not the charge to act or initiate.
Yeah.
So that was a long story, but I wanted to tell it because I'm kind of going on the record to commit that I'm not keeping this particular thing. I'm not keeping it to myself. I've put it in motion, and if God gives it lift, it will fly. And if God doesn't give it lift, it'll just coast along the earth for a while and then lose momentum.
There's a couple of things you said in that one, if I can remember them. One is disturbances. And the other is this, I don't know what you call it, this sort of seeing possibilities or seeing something that might play out, but you don't know how it's going to play out, but it may be something of significance. So the first thing is disturbances, like you're looking for a disturbance. And I was thinking back to, the first thing that popped in my mind is ministry. Back in the day that I was ministering to churches and leadership, I was in a place of peace, tranquility in the spirit. At the same time, I was in a lot of turmoil, but not personal turmoil. Just waging war, you might almost say. But in that tranquility, of that peace and the spirit that I had, it enabled me to sense disturbances in the spirit in a group or in people. And so I thought of that, and I thought about how my first experience with that understanding, I did it in the natural. I understood it in the natural, but then I also discovered it in the spirit. In the natural, I could see it in a pond where there was no wind and there's nothing to disturb it, and then you could see anything that appeared on the surface because it was so like a mirror. It was just transparent, signaled any shift at all. That was in the physical, but then later on, I discovered it in the spirit. How to release things to God over and over and over again, and get solutions to problems. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? Until there was nothing left. And then I would have that peace, that spiritual tranquility in which God could speak to me sort of like without words, just through the light of his nature, through illumination. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how I don't normally, at my age with, I don't know, I've got 10 grandchildren, and I've got a lot of people that are sort of in my heart deeply. I got generations. And, I get troubled about it. I get troubled about their life, their circumstances and whatever. And I'm trying to release that to the Lord because I want to get back to that place of tranquility. But at the same time, It's not that I want to abandon them, but that tranquility is what enables you to really hear the word of the Lord properly. It seems to me. Sometimes it comes in great turmoil, of course, or just crying out for help. But anyway, that made me remember that. And then the other thing was about this sort of seeing a pattern or a possibility, a triangulation, whatever, I don't know what you call it, like with Bonnie and her daughter. And I used to do that with my children. I'd see something in their behavior and I'd wait for a certain confluence to occur where I could reveal it to them. So I'm waiting for something to happen so that they can see what I'm seeing. I used to do that with pastors too. I'd see something in the pastor that I had charge of, and I'd be waiting for them to do something in such a way that I could catch them. I could say, okay, now you can see this. Oh, here it is. And then I think, and there's this other way, like how we bought the church, where I'm waiting for a release. I'm waiting for permission. It's a very, very strange thing. But when you're trying to make a commitment, you're trying to make a decision, and until, I think in James it says, whatever is not of faith, whatever is of doubt, whatever is not of faith is sin. And so intellectually, everything adds up. Everything adds up. You can do all the intellectual stuff, do all your research and everything, but you cannot pull the trigger because you don't have faith. You still have doubt and you don't know why you have a doubt. So you can't do it. But when the church came, I didn't even do any research. I didn't research Logansport. I didn't do anything. I just bought it because I had permission. And I got permission on Thursday. I made the offer on Friday and we closed the next Thursday. It was done. Boom, boom, boom. I never researched, and I've been researching for 3 or 4 years, looking at houses all over the United States and looking at, what the crime was and what the politics are and what, everything about it that I could find. And yet I could never make a decision until this happened. And I made this decision instantaneously because I had permission. I mean, you could also say because the price was right. That was just a part of the whole deal. I saw other things, but the price was right. So I don't know. These are interesting questions, Jimmy. I think of you in the way that you analyze trees, and I don't know how you analyze trees. You've just told me a little bit, but you're going up into that tree and you're looking at structures and trapped energy and which way is this going to go? And I mean, I'm making this up because I don't know. I do know wood, but I know it when it's dead. And I know when I'm sawing a piece, all of a sudden it can go haywire. It can turn into spaghetti almost, because there's energy in there that needs to be released, and it's going to go. It's either going to tighten up and come over the blade, or it's going to go the opposite and fly apart. So you're doing that with your life, looking at the energy and the formation. And am I making this up, or is that what you're doing?
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's your observation and interpretation and translating it through your vocabulary. Yeah, you're doing a good job. And I don't expect that I could lay my view of it out clearly, but you know, it all has to do with the origins. Like my teachers, there was one man responsible for my progression. He laid a foundation, which is he taught me how to think properly when it comes to these things with trees. Now, he didn't read or write very well, but he understood things. So now that I have vocabulary to it, when it comes to trees, I'm working with fixed order. I'm working with gravity, which is a stable factor. I'm working with mass. And I'm working with structural shape and stored energy. Separate from that are the obstacles, whether it's wires, house, fences, pond, concrete under me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm also working with the ability of my assistants, my associates. How can I communicate to them the timing of hold this, but know when to let it go? So they can't. So I do most of the rope work from up top, which is completely unheard of. But only because I was taught all these fundamentals 50 years ago. And then I learned the variations of that theme, and I just do it. I'm not in a mood to impart knowledge, train a crew.
Yeah.
I'm utilizing my skill set to be efficient when it comes to economy and also time.
Yeah.
Because I need a lot of time off now, more than I did before. Because my life is more increasing and spending time contemplating the same thing. I'm contemplating the fixed order of God. I'm contemplating the supremacy of his mass. His intent is like mass. His stored energy is he gives the spirit without measure. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hill, that sort of thing. So I see spiritual substance, I see spiritual function, I see divine efficiency. God is the only self-reliant one. So so I'm really an astute student with God as my informer. He informs me.
Yeah.
And I've come to terms with he's appointed me to that. Not to be postured in comparison or competition with other people, because I was sitting with a guy the other night who called me up and invited me to dinner at his house because his wife went away for a couple of days to visit her father, actually in Kansas City as well. And but I knew what it would be about, so I went to his house. He's younger than I've known this man for a long time. And he brought up the matter of he's been doing ministry. He's spread out quite well. He's organized. There's no corruption as far as I could see. There's honor and there's accountability and financial stability in the ministry that he's involved with. But personally, he doesn't have the certainty that he desires. So we talked about the verse where Paul says, be all the more certain about his calling and choosing of you. And, there's certainty, and how could we define what certainty is? And then be all the more certain there's an advanced measure of certainty.
Hmm.
And then it's specifically targeted to him. It's not about me. It's not about my perception of who I am. It's about the certainty of his perception of me, his calling and choosing. So as I was talking with this man, the atmosphere around us was shifting. It was actual. There was no gold dust. It wasn't a blue mist or anything like that. The rollback of disturbances, of fear, of loneliness, of despair, of dread, of shame, of failure, fear of loss. All these things were rolling back. And I knew we were heading toward this moment where I was going to pray for him. I knew it before I went there, you know. So he says, "I'll be right back." And he went and got some oil because he believes in the anointing of oil, you know, which is fine. I do too. So then he asked me if I pray for him. I said, "Yeah." I kind of laughed. I laugh a lot when God's moving because I think it's like a lot of fun. It makes me really laugh. I'm happy. I'm not like the anointing. I like that too. But I prayed for him, and I didn't have any rehearsed prayer. But when we pray for people one-on-one, and we're looking to God, and you mentioned this triangulation, where we're waiting in wonder and expectation, not worrying about, I hope he shows me soon. Everybody's watching me. You know, I should be saying something. You're just waiting. And meanwhile, that's the demonstration of being all the more certain. All the more certain means I'm relaxed in this realm. I'm relaxed in the form of this world to pause between dimensions for God to give me the way that I should go in my words, praying for this guy. Because in essence, I was agreeing with what God wanted to do for this man. I wasn't coming up with a laundry list of requests and asking God if he would consider giving this to us. It was, and he knew that he had problems. He was saying they're spiritual because he has a lot of physical things and distress. And I simply said to him, "Look, don't worry about it. You're not going to be growling." And we both laughed. But I was saying it's you're not going to have deliverance. You're not going to have any kind of manifestation. God has already determined where he wants you to be in about 5 minutes. And you're going to be there. And we're going to step through together. And we could feel the atmosphere change. So I told him, I said, now, things are going to be different. Keep an eye on it and let's stay in touch. The next day, he texted me and said, I wanted to see exactly what he said. It's a very short one. He said, "Notable peace today," where he was in extreme disturbance. Notable peace today. Now, I've been with this young man since he was 15 years old. One particular day, he called me up about 2:30 in the morning, and he was really wigged out on a hallucinogenic, whatever it was, mescaline, LSD, something. He was freaked out. So I told him, "All right, where are you?" Maybe it took me 20 minutes to get there. So it was like a Friday or Saturday night. So in New York, diners are open all night long. Well, they're always open. If you park your car in a diner, that's like a sanctuary city. The police leave you alone. Because if you're in a diner parking lot, you're not on the road. So we went to a diner parking lot. And he started manifesting. These demons started talking to me, and they were snarling at me, and they told me they were going to kill me. And I might have went, no, you're not. And I put my hands on his head and I prayed for him. And he shook and he growled and he screamed. And he got completely straight. And I drove him home and he went into his house and he slept for 2 days. So that impressed him, that the power of God could do that. And I had no idea. I just did it. I didn't have any, I saw this done at the tent revival or something. So a couple of years later, he hung out with a crowd that they became really dark into black magic and Satan. They were Satan worshipers. And this fellow decided to go on a camping trip with them around Halloween time. Not such a good thing. And he realized that these 4 or 5 fellas he was with were actually going to murder him and sacrifice him that night.
Okay.
And he was absolutely terrified, and he remembered and he began to pray in tongues like this. So he had to wait until like 4 in the morning, because they kept building the fire bigger and bigger. And the fire was really big, but they had to go further in the woods to get firewood. So he bided his time. And when they finally went far enough into the woods, he took off and he outran them. And he made it to a road and ran up the hill to a monument overlook on a mountain that had a phone booth. So he called me collect. And he's all upset. He's like, Jimmy. So I'm woken up, like, do you accept a collect call from? I said, yes. So I'm half asleep and I said to him, look up on the top of that phone booth right there. There's a sticker with a taxi company and a phone number. Call that number and call for a taxi. And he did. A taxi came up for him. By the time he was driving down the mountain, it was daylight, and those Satan worshipers were running through the woods until daylight looking for him. And he passed by real slow, and they were standing on the side of the road looking at him. And he went down to the train station, took the train home. So he was remembering these instances. So I said, it's like David, he killed the lion. And I said, so this is going to happen. And so this young man had so many of these encounters in his life. And we're still, he lives in this town. He's quite an amazing fellow. But anyway, you would think, okay, so I've had these experiences, but God sends me to specific places and specific individuals. And it's just the way it's been. But it seems to come back around. There's longevity to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm as a father to this man. And the effective service for God that is involved in his ministry, I'm fulfilled and rewarded by the activity of God in his life. I like that a lot better than if I was the front man with nobody behind me,
Yeah, I know. It's wonderful to keep those relationships up. Uh, the ones that God has initiated and joined us together. Um, yeah, I mean, I've lost so many actually because they're dead. A lot of them are gone. Um, and a lot of them I haven't seen for quite a while. But I do keep up with some of them. And Timothy's one of them. The Lord has used me in his life many times, and we sort of keep in touch, but I'm hoping he will open up a little more. He sends me something every once in a while.
Yeah,
But
I've
yeah.
been talking to him weekly now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's
He
he's
seems
he's
he seems
he's
he seems afraid to talk to me for some reason. He will
uh,
he will send me information or send me
yeah.
a prophecy that I gave him a long time ago or something like that. But
Well,
yeah, I don't
I
know.
would put it hesitant, perhaps. Maybe there's fear too, but he's in a position of coming to terms with a lot of the tools that are in his toolbox that God didn't put there, and a lot of misunderstandings, which is all of us have these. We have self-appointed tasks that we say God gave us to do. We have self-appointed everything, really. Putting it this way, the things that originate in my own ambition, and I think it's God.
Yeah.
God doesn't hold that against me. I mean, that's a child. You crawl before you walk. It's the intent of heart. It's not the efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
If God were to view me through the lenses of efficiency and perfection and lawfulness and properness, who could stand before him?
Mm-hmm.
He sees beyond this age. When the Father views me, he's seeing 1,000,000 miles down the road and a million miles in the other direction. One of the things I was talking to this fellow the other night, I was praying for him. I was saying to God, will you give this man specific mile markers and road signs on the ancient path? And then I explained to him later, I said, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I was praying, because I was praying what I was seeing, and I wanted to give him a little background on it. So, I've always had an intrigue with give us the ancient paths. Anytime ancient path is mentioned, I'm like attracted to it. It's like, I want to do a pilgrimage. What do I want to know about it? Well, most recently, in a couple of ways, it was made known to me. The ancient paths is the intent of God, because that's the paths he exists on. It's the pathway of his thoughts. I can't. So when did God think of me to give me existence?
Mm-hmm.
Bringing me to the ancient path is bringing me to God's thoughts, where he saw my substance before I was formed in my mother's womb. Well, what did he see? He didn't see like a little he didn't see like some little embryo that looked like a caterpillar with a tail or something. What did he see? He will be disclosing that to us. God has put eternity in the hearts of men, yet so that they will not discover all that there'll be no end to the increase of his government and of peace. So this perpetual motion thing, it goes both ways. It's on the ancient paths and God's thoughts. So the form of this world wants to put me in a time capsule of crisis. That, well, since World War II and the communists and this and AI and viruses and the economy and terrorists and toxins, that as soon as you eliminate problems, fivefold, we're not here to sweep the house clean on the earth. What are we here for? That's where we have to be all the more certain about his calling and choosing us, because only God can give each individual person the purpose of why they exist. If you're not interested, just take your pick. There's 1,000 cookie cutter molds that you can fit yourself into and see how you do with that. Because I've tried it myself for decades, and it just didn't give me that resolve that I am accepted in the beloved and that I'm safe. Those are the two primary needs that God fulfills in me on a moment by moment basis. Is I'm convinced of his acceptance of me, so I'm not struggling in that. I know I'm not going to be disqualified. I'm not going to forfeit what God has appointed for me to have. I'm not going to be rejected or judged or condemned or even forsaken. And I'm safe in him because of his kindness and his love for me. I can trust the continuity of his affection for me. It doesn't change. He doesn't get mad at me. He doesn't discipline me, hold it against me, give me cancer to punish me because of this or that. So I'm out of that. Those things aren't attaching to me. What will attach to me is a stall or a fog where I lose my connection to the perpetual stuff that's way big. I mean, it's beyond the cosmos, When I feel connected to God, I'm aware of so many things. When I don't feel that connection, I'm not depressed, like, oh, I better do something. Maybe I'm going to fast lunch today. I better call a friend, better go on somebody's prayer chain. I just wait it out because this is temporary. It's like fog set in, fog will leave. I don't sweat it. I don't fight it. I just wait. I don't do anything rash.
Right. Yeah, I think waiting, being patient and waiting is, I wish I could have known that when I was younger. But it was such a key. I mean, it's such an enormous key to life.
Yeah.
Hold your peace, hold your mouth, wait, don't respond, just hold it, keep it, and see how long this lasts. Is this going to last an hour, 2 hours, a day, even a week, maybe? I remember having bad days every once in a while, a bad day. And I was working, I was doing cabinet work, I'd be working. And I learned that, okay, bad days are going to come. Difficult days where things seem kind of confused, foggy, as we say. And I realized, okay, I don't have to get a lot done today. I'm just going to go through this day and get done what I can get done. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to accept the fact that there's some fog here today. This is a part of the weather pattern, and go through it. And the more I did that, the less fog there was. I mean, the frequency of fog decreased. It was like, instead of living in London, I'm living in Arizona or something, it just gradually shifted to where I had very few days where I would have that kind of fog. I'm not saying I didn't have any fog at all, but before it was, maybe once a week. And, but when I learned, and then also in relationships, to just wait. Wait for the other person. Don't analyze things and try to fix it. Don't even respond. Just let it be for a while. Just let it be and see where it goes. And 99% of things disappear. I mean, they just literally disappear. They have no consequence whatsoever. However, I mean, it's sort of like the angel gets in the water and you get in the water fast enough and get healed. This is the other way around. The devil gets in the water, stirs things up, and you get in the water with him, and then you're going to have problems for a while. And this is going to take a while to undo the damage that you caused by opening your mouth or doing whatever it was, making decisions when you shouldn't be making decisions. But that's a wonderful thing. I wish to really, for young people to understand, just patience, just wait, just chill, be careful, just wait until until you have peace.
When you mentioned how you wish you knew this at some point in time ago, and I chuckled, of course, I do too. But I do remember this. There was a time in my younger years when my desire to know the ways of God was very strong, and I pursued it. But I had this secret feeling. I was watching life around me after about 10 years of being a believer, and I was having the feeling that I was missing out on life because the church culture was definitely rather corny and lame. It
was what? Sorry.
Corny.
Corny?
Yeah, you ever hear that word, corny?
C-O-R-N-Y? You mean corny?
Yeah.
Okay.
And lame. What a lame.
Oh, corny and lame. Right. Okay, I got
corny, you. Lame, a bit fake.
It was just missing the mark.
It
wasn't accurate.
There was people weren't making a bum's rush to get in, I'll tell you that. So a lot of the things I learned that were taught to me by the Spirit of God, such as those things like waiting, listening, knowing where my safety lies. I threw it away. But don't throw away your confidence, for you have need of endurance. I threw away my confidence. I remember throwing it away. I didn't throw it away maliciously, cursing it. I just assumed that I stopped holding on to it. I stopped valuing it. And I began to pursue my place in the world. And I thought I could have more fun with ordinary people, because these other people, it's too unrealistic and disturbing for me.
Yeah.
So I started circulating. I spend more time with my customers. It was a wonderful time. I learned a lot and met a lot of nice people, made a lot of friends. I wasn't on the track. Are you a believer? Have you been born again? Oh, no, I can't hang out with you. I didn't hold it against people if they prayed and asked Jesus into the heart, and those who didn't.
I understand.
But yeah.
You're living in the natural.
I was living in the natural, but it had an influence on me, and I didn't have the sort of the energy of God or whatever.
Yeah.
So that God let me run my course for decades.
Decades. Wow. He only let me do it for about a year. My race to the pit was very quick. So.
Oh, no, mine took decades.
Okay.
But my time, I didn't even pay for a full night's lodging. I didn't stay there very long. And but all the while, God was at work in me, both to will and to work for his glory.
Yeah.
From natural eyes and from my fellow creatures' viewpoint, they would have given me a very bad progress report. But the Father was doing deep work. I found out about how many things that I thought worked don't work. And now I know I'm not tempted to try that again. I'm sure I could be foolish enough, but I hold to that covenant where I believe it's in Jeremiah that, and I'll put it in their hearts so that they will not turn away from me.
Yeah.
So I'm confident that I'm not afraid that I'm going to turn away from God and become forsaken. So being I know that, I may as well fully apply as much as I can of myself and invest as much as I can, plant as much as I can, because in this lifetime, I want to harvest as much mystical and supernatural activity that I can participate in as is possible. If it's possible to, let me go way out on a limb, because I don't actually have this experience. If it's possible to time travel, I'd like to be in on it. If it's possible to go from one place to another like Philip did, I'd like to be in on it. If it's possible to fly, like some claimed Elijah was scooped up and flew and went to another place, I'd like to be in on it. Myself, I don't want an audience. Just want to, I'll go for it. I'll sign up. I'll wait. I'll go. I'll write about it. I'll be in awe. And if it's not possible, there's no disappointment. But you got to wait at the bus stop if you want to get on the bus. You can't sit in your house and then you see the bus and then try to make a rush for it. You gotta wait. I used to take the bus in New York City a lot. Sometimes people would come and they were probably mean people. They would say, "No, the bus isn't coming today." What am I supposed to do? Believe them and go home?
The Lord showed me, I don't know if it pertains to everything, but that the price of the ticket is a broken heart. That no one gets on this bus unless they have a broken heart.
So what is a broken heart, Bob?
Well, when you've come to the place where you think you've lost everything that matters. I mean, I think that night that Peter saw Jesus on the cross, that's a broken heart. I don't know, when I lost my son, that was a broken heart. But it doesn't stop there. It extends to the Father asking his son to go to the cross. And I was thinking about the last book of the New Testament, and a lot of people say revelations of Jesus Christ. It's not revelations, it's the revelation of Jesus Christ. So as you were saying, this is an eternal thing. This is in God, and it's always been there, always will be there. That's who he is. And he has been waiting to reveal that. So now he's only revealed it to those who have faith, to whom the ones to whom he draws. But it's not the full revelation. The full revelation is coming when he displays the glory of his nature, of who he is. And Jesus walked that out. We could see it, his humility, his meekness, his love, his kindness, his gentleness, the character of God manifest, and strength, meekness being strength in control, with discipline, in relationship to the Pharisees, being compassionate and forgiving to the tax collectors and the prostitutes and to the ones that are broken, and yet very strong and very firm in his denunciation of the religious rulers who were fake, who were using their position of authority to milk the poor and then to lay heavy burdens on them, things that they could not do in their ordinary days, ordinary life, which they could do because they had enough time and money and space to do the little cleansings and rituals and all the things to keep you sanctified and holy. And they're out there digging ditches. So the revelation of Jesus Christ, but we will be revealed in him too. So it's not just like one, it's like, boom. I mean, the whole thing that is truly God. This is who he is. And so those of us who are in him are looking forward to that day, and will be, in beyond awe and wonder, and in some kind of way that we have only got little tiny tastes of. We've got little fragrances that we have smelled upon, in our spirit in certain occasions. This wonderful fragrance of the holiness and beauty of God, in sending his son to the cross for us and loving us in the way that he loves us. And those who thought God, sort of like that parable of the talents, I thought you were like this. I thought you were sowed where you reap where you don't sow. I thought you were a hard master. I thought you would come back, you would do this and that. And so therefore I didn't invest. I just put it in the ground. Here, you can have it back. And what, and he goes into outer darkness. And then the preachers and the pastors and the prophets and the evangelists that are expecting they think they're sheep. And he says, I didn't know you. I don't know you. And he puts them into outer darkness. And yet the brokenhearted, the weak, blessed are the poor, blessed are the hungry, blessed are those who mourn. They come into the kingdom. They're received. But it's not about that. It's about this display of his glory and the consummation of all things, in which we, the stains of this life and the sorrows and the griefs and all of that are gone. We won't even be able to remember them. But I think these last days, in Zechariah 12, we see this little scene of the gospel ship out on the waters of salvation, the Dead Sea that has become, as Ezekiel saw, the waters flowing out into the Dead Sea, and the Dead Sea becoming alive. And they're fishing from Engedi. And the sun is dark and the moon is turned to blood, and there's this amazing, extraordinary catch of fish. The children are returning to their fathers, and the fathers to the children. The brokenhearted are being healed.
Yeah.
And when the catch gets so great, this realization, this understanding that it's all true, it's all real, the reality of it is going to pierce our heart when we realize our responsibility, we put him on the cross, we crucified him, and we'll mourn for him as, in a sense, like God mourned for him. I don't know if that's scriptural or not, but we'll mourn with the Father for his Son. I mean, that piercing. And the mourning is so great that you have to separate. You can't be, the women will be with the women and the men with the men. And the tribes, there's always this intertribal warfare. There's the intertribal warfare in the church, the denominational warfare and all of that. And yet there's going to be a kind of repentance that is going to be a very purifying thing that will release the church into its fullness before the Lord comes back.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the Father grieved, because I don't think, my own thoughts, I don't think God can view death the way we view death, because the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ. The Father sees the gift in the death of his Son. He sees the many sons coming in. Jesus himself, he volunteered to that. When he got close to the moment, he was really feeling something that I've never felt. I haven't been facing death in its imminent form, but it pleased the Father, because Jesus came to bring us to the Father. So whose idea was this? It sounds like it was the Father's. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like the Father has the ultimate timetable of when he subdues all of Jesus' enemies to become a footstool. So I've been taking a view of God as being pleased, and taking a view of myself as being in the pleasure of God. And I've been feeling much different about life. Instead of attaching myself to the despair and sowing and reaping and sin and death and punishment and is God unpleased and all these other kind of religious activity sermons and teachings and thoughts, I'm not. Look, they were stepping stones. I'm glad for the discipline and the fear of the Lord, but my fear of the Lord is more of a reverential fear now. It's not a fear of being forsaken.
Sure.
So So I lived in that, and I don't regret the first few years of my being a young believer, knowing that I think I have a responsibility to hold on to Jesus. I'm not going to expect him to go with me everywhere I go. And then I later learned, as I became a man, I put away my childish ways. But here we are, Bob, we're reflecting on some of our views. But I'm always refreshed when we have these sessions together. And during the week when I'm not, obviously we both go our ways. But I always think about all the people that I've come to know, like David from South Africa, and Matt from England, and Alexander from Ukraine, and then there's Stephanie from Belgium, and people from the States. Because this is very more intimate. It's not like impersonal. I've spoke to some of these people, and they've asked questions, and I keep them in mind, and I make mention of them to God, because these are the folks that God has presented to me, and I like face-to-face stuff, because it's the exchange. It's the exchange. So if any of those folks were listening, it's just a little bit of a shout out, an honor to you that we are all fellows in the same ship. So that's our fellowship. And we've taken yet another 2-hour journey down the ancient path. And we can, are you guys thinking of having another session? Well, I know you folks do a lot every day, but so hello there, Prophetess Lydia. I couldn't help, I had to mention all of those people and give shout outs.
Yes.
To them.
And they've been very faithful.
Chris, it's.
No, she's going to be back on every day, and I guess I'll probably share a half hour, 45 minutes a day. I'm not sure what her plan is for how long, but consistently, again, now that we have Wi-Fi today, and she couldn't use TikTok while she was traveling. They turn you off, kick you out if the car's moving. But
that's cool.
Before we go,
good to be back.
Can we just take two voices before we go? Abimbola, can you unmute your mic and say where you're watching from, please? Just a minute. Let me turn the volume up. 1 minute, please. Just give me a second. Oh, wait 1 minute. I need to put the volume up. Abimbola, go ahead and say where you're watching from. Say that again, please.
I'm watching from Virginia, United States.
Okay, she's in Virginia. Have you been enjoying the program so far?
I just joined.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We go live with the Prophets every Thursday and Saturday, so I pray that you'll be able to join us again this coming Thursday. We do appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Marvia, unmute your mic and say hello.
Hello, good evening.
Where are you watching from? I know it's Montego Bay, Jamaica, but just for you to say. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Have you been listening to the You've been listening to the program, the broadcast?
Oh, not for long, no. I just came on.
Okay. There are people who come in and they keep coming in and out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marvia. Christiana, I know you've been there from the beginning. How are you?
I'm fine, Mama. And you?
I'm doing well. Good to hear you. Have you been listening to the program with Bishop Robert?
Yes,
How is it? Have you been blessed by it?
yes, Mama. I'm so blessed.
Wonderful. And you're in Ghana.
Yes, I'm in Ghana.
Wonderful. You sound a bit tired. Are you okay?
Yes, Mama. I'm okay. My phone lost it. All my things has gone, but
Okay.
God is so good.
Amen. I'll call you after the program to have a chat with you, okay?
Okay, Mama.
Thank you for joining. Anna Kay, unmute your mic and say hello. You've been watching from Jamaica. Anna Kay got baptized 2 years ago, and she really loves the Lord. Hi, Anna Kay.
Hi.
You sound like you were sleeping. Did you doze off?
Yes, I did.
I can hear that voice. So you were sleeping and you came back, and you slept and came back. What have you heard what have you learned so far on the program? Sorry, your mic. Unmute your mic. I know you came in very early.
Yeah. Is it nighttime in Jamaica or later in the day?
It is about the same time in Jamaica.
Ah.
Favorite of God, Diana is in Ireland. Diana, how are you? I saw you came in and you went out and came back. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, sister.
Wonder. And you've been listening
for bed here.
Oh, what time is it
No,
there?
no, I'm actually, it's just, it's 10. 10.
So it's bedtime.
Yes.
I know you came in and you went back and you came in again.
Yeah, I just came in. I missed.
Never mind. We love you and we appreciate you. We thank you for joining the broadcast.
I love you, family. Yeah.
We're family and I love you too.
Okay.
One more. Reverend Tina is here. I'm just trying to grab her up here. Reverend Tina has been on for a long time. Reverend Tina, can you hear me? Anna Kay, can you bring Reverend Tina in? Finally, I can't bring her up. Where is she? Let me see if I can get her here. Reverend Tina, she's been faithful, committed. I know I can rely on her, always, always here. Let's get her in before we go. Thank you, family. We're about to go. We're just wrapping up now, but we just want to hear a few from you people. Maybe another time. I'm not able to bring her up. That's fine. Bishop and Robert, Bishop and Prophet Jimmy, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, we hope to be on at the regular times now, and so that people can count on when we're coming in.
Yes.
So, and we'll let them know ahead of time whether it'll be 12 or 1 o'clock.
Yes. I just want to quickly say something about something that Prophet Jimmy said earlier, and I've been kind of grappling with it, but I just want to put it out there. Maybe you want to do something with it before we go. He was talking. He shared an example about the guy he was talking to his neighbor, and the other guy who was kind of going the wrong way. And he said, don't get involved with people who are lost. That's what he said. He don't get involved with people who are lost until they come to him, and he always let it play out. And as I heard that, I thought of, what is it that we're sent to do in this life, in this world? God knows the people. God knows those who belong to him. And sometimes we run out there and are trying to bring them when God is not even ready to bring them. And I really like that. Don't get involved until they come to you, until God create that atmosphere. I mean, it will make life less stressful. I'm an evangelist at heart, and I like to just go out there and, oh, the Lord bless you and keep you. But if God is not bringing them, they don't care. God will have to bring them, turn them, in order for them to really want what you got. It's such an eye-opener, and it will lessen the stress, I believe. So let it play out. Wait for them to be in need. And I know that God will create that opportunity for them to really want him. And then you be in tune. I like that.
Well, I said that specifically to that particular man because I know him, and he has this compulsion to intervene, invited or uninvited, because he feels like he's on a mission from God.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way I view it is, if I'm serving people living manna, Jesus said, "Eat of my body and drink of my blood." If I'm speaking to somebody about the person of Jesus, it depends. I'm going to serve them according to their appetite. I'm not going to set up a free buffet at the exit door of a Chinese buffet. People are going to come out gorged on food. There's no appetite left in them to eat anything. So my words to that man had to do with a particular vehicle that got stuck at a closed gate. I mean, if you see a closed gate and you drive right up to it, you volunteered to do that. So to go and tell you how to find your way out of there, I live and right by this gate. I see it happen every day. So I was telling my neighbor, I don't go give directions to everybody that gets lost over here. They can find their own way. But I also said it to him in a kind of a coded way, because he kind of gets on me sometimes because I'm not out there on the streets telling everybody about Jesus like him. And I've gone through decades of being a street preacher and feeling if I don't tell somebody about Jesus, I should feel bad because I don't honor them and God so loved the world. But I kind of figured it out how disturbed I was and unhappy I was by feeling that I was God's man of power for the hour, when all I was doing was stuff I really didn't want to do, telling people stuff they didn't really want to hear, and nothing very good was happening. And I didn't enjoy being a Christian. So I started getting with God and finding out that he can direct me to the one, whereas I'm directing myself to the many, and maybe one or two will bite. So I think it's an individual thing. There are fishermen who cast out the net and pull in lots of fish, and then there are those who drop a line and pull out one fish at a time. So I think the meaning, I didn't want to leave somebody thinking I was making a doctrine that don't talk to the lost, let them find their own way. But there was no doctrine in it. It was more of an approach that I like to watch for God directing me to hit the target. As the apostle says, run in such a way as to win the prize. An athlete will play according to the rules. So I'm more targeted. I like to feel like God targets me, and then I go out and I come in, and then I don't stick around when the mission is over. I don't have a list. I knew a man that had everybody's name and phone number in his book that he led to Christ. And he would show how many he has. He said, these are the souls I've won. I never had a book. It's like Jesus. They write books about him, but I don't think Jesus had a book that he wrote down. He wrote in the sand a couple of times. So there you are, Bob. I'm watching you look. You have quite a nice look on your face. Wondering, where's Jimmy going to go with this now?
Well, he didn't have any earthly books, but he did have the Lamb's Book of Life. So
Yes, he did.
Yes.
but I don't know who wrote that. Did God write it or did Jesus write it? It is the Lamb's book, however.
Yes, and
But I agreed with what you're saying. Yeah,
recording angels with pads on their legs.
right.
I'd like to see some of them. But thank you, Prophetess Lydia, for mentioning the names of all of those folks. I always like to hear, because I write down their names. Every name you mentioned, I wrote down so that I can have a thought. I could be targeted and talk about Marthea from Jamaica and Christiana from Ghana and Annika from, she's from Jamaica too, I think.
Annika, yes, she is.
Annika and Diana from Ireland and then Reverend Tina. I think she's from Jamaica as well.
She's in England.
Oh, she's in England. Okay.
Jamaica.
So yeah, good to hear of all these people, and God bless all that are listening. My prayer is for you to have a richer, more intimate relationship with the Father through Jesus. In Jesus' name, I pray that. And I'll see you guys again at the you never know where.
You never know when, but let's hope it's Thursday. But we'll see.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Jimmy.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Good night. Good
Sharing
day.
talk and insights.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now I get back to my research and writing.
Okay, Bishop. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, wonderful people of God. You've been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know it's been a lengthy program, and we do have, people come in and out. But as long as you stay and get yourself washed in the Word of God, it is just beautiful. We do appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. I thank God for your lives. I thank God for your commitment. I thank God for how faithful you've been to this broadcast. I will be back tomorrow. See, we have traveled, and now we are back home. As you can see, the altar is there. Thank you, thank you. We're going to sign out now. We have not rested yet. 3 weeks on the go. Every day, as for those of you who've seen, we've been on the go. God bless you over here. Juice Banco, thank you for joining us. Join us again tomorrow. Bye-bye. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow over here. Bye-bye. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow. Bye. Bye-bye. Quite a few broadcasts to close before I come over here. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye. There you go. We love and appreciate you. God bless you. Bye-bye.